Well, we're back again, once again, for another session. Um, I thank each and everybody for tuning in again. I thank each and everybody for lending me your ear and taking me on this journey with you in resolving fear. You know, fear for most is camouflage faith. Um, so let's get started. Like I said last week, the next topic was going to be to recognize that life happens for you. Like I said, I want to jump right in because I don't want to go over 30 minutes. I want you to be able to digest the information according to you at your own pace. And I don't want you to be bowed down with a whole bunch of information. So, like I said, point number two is recognizing that life happens for you. Like I said again, I got this list of topics from Tony Robbins, one of his videos. You know, he's a multi-billionaire motivational speaker or whatever. I needed a list, to outline, to govern these podcasts by. But like I always say, make sure that, whatever's motivating you, make sure it's got some substance behind it. Don't just get motivated and be all up there in the clouds and you don't have no substance. Because if you don't have no substance, when you come down, what is there to come down to? Normally, when people who are motivated beyond their comfort zone, when they come down, they fall into depression or they fall into anxiety. They fall into some mental episode that's not good for them. So, like I said, motivational speaking, that's fine. But long as you have some substance, something you can grasp onto that you can take hold of to be able, a foundation, something, it's got to be coming from a foundation. It can't just shoot you up in the stars and then, because if you up in the stars, you don't know how long you're going to be up there. You don't know if you can sustain it. Life happens. That's why I say when life gets lifing, you got to be able to sustain that. You got to be able to maintain the altitude. And sometimes when life happens, we get hit, we get nudged, the turbulence gets to going, and we don't get to maintain the altitude. And therefore, some of us take a nosedive. And, that is very traumatic for many. So, like I said, we're going to talk about recognizing that life happens for you. I hope everybody benefited from, listing the tangible items, the tangible things, the tangible sources, of your anxiety. Last week was determine the source of your anxiety. I hope everybody listed and actually do the work, actually did the homework, because just listening to these videos or these podcasts and then you just gonna go on about, think, oh, I'm gonna put it into play. No, if you don't work the program or work your program as you see fit, then life happens, life gets lifing, as I always say, and you don't get back to it, and then you end up redoing the videos again, and then you do it again. You find yourself keep listening to the videos, but you never apply it. Knowledge is power. I said that. It's good to have the knowledge, but you gotta have the understanding. And the only way you get the understanding is by applying the knowledge to your life. Taking all this knowledge in and not applying it to your life is not going to help you grow any better. It's not going to help you be any better. So take the time. If you ain't done it, go back and look at the one that says determining your source of anxiety. That was the first point. Don't get too far down, because when you get too far, like I said, you get tired of listening to the videos over and over, then pretty soon you'll stop listening to them and you've never applied anything to your life. Therefore, you never transition, you never change, you never do anything. All you did was hear a whole bunch of word, a whole bunch of knowledge that did nothing for you. It sounded good, but it wasn't applicable. And it didn't, it wasn't effective in your life because you never, put it towards your life. You never applied it in your life. So like I said, number two is recognizing that life happens for you. We have people I want to say humans, like my clients say, we have humans that seem to believe that life has dealt them a bad hand, or maybe they get up off the wrong side of the bed every day, or that life is this big negative circle. They wake up in anger, they wake up stubborn, they wake up with all this negative energy because life has done something to them, because they believe in their mind that life is not privy to them. you know they just, life, they wasn't born with a silver spoon, or it's always life's fault. These are the ones that play the blame game. These are the ones that, you tell them something and their story has got to be that much greater, that much worse. You can't just tell them you're going through something, because they feel some type of way. They get defensive and they want to come at you like you think you doing bad. Wait till you hear what I got. Listen, I mean, it's not saying that it is, that it's not important, but when you're on that scale, whatever scale you own, it's not greater or lesser than the other one. It's just, if I'm dealing with something on this scale and you come at me with the same thing, but it appears to be on a greater scale, it's not on a greater scale, because that's where you are. It's not where I am. So you have these people that want to play the victim. They just want to throw something out at you, and they don't want to hear that you're going through. They don't want to hear, especially if they got anything to do with it. I said that before. If they got anything to do with why you're in the situation that you're in, they are not going to want to listen to you. So it's best just not to say nothing to them at all. Don't even bring it up to them, because it don't do nothing but raise your anxiety, and you sit there and simmer in mess. And you sit there and simmer in your emotions. You become bitter. You become more angry because this person ain't listening to me. This person don't care about what I'm going on. This person, he or she really don't wonder about what you're doing, because all they're trying to do is place the blame on somebody else, act defensive because they don't want to feel the darts, or they don't want to be accountable for their part in it. So they want to make sure that, you take yours and be quiet about it, which would be better for you. But it's not better for that individual, because the world even knows your silent enemy is your worst enemy. So when you go off in being quiet and moving in silence, before you know it, they up and look around, and they ain't got to worry about you no more. You done went off, and God done solved the situation, your universe, or things that happen, things that flow, things that came in your favor, and you don't have to worry about them, understanding, well, you hurt me, you did this, I wouldn't be going through this if you hadn't done this or done that or whatever. Some of us need to find closure, and we don't need to find closure. Some of us just believe that we got to find closure. Some of us want to point the finger at an individual because we're attached to them and they made a bad decision, and we just want to be at them. So these are the people that like to play victim, that, maybe subconsciously or consciously, they like to play victim. And they always want to say that life is against them, that everything is coming against them. And, they can't, win for losing. Dang if I do, dang if I don't. That kind of thing. It's always got to be about woe is me. Eeyore, the character Eeyore. Life never went happy for Eeyore in his mind, because Eeyore just didn't want to think positive. He just wanted to be in that woe is me. Everything is, negative. Everything is against me. The world is against me. I'm here to tell you today, point number 2, life is not against you. Recognize that life happens for you. Life is not give or take. It's not up or down, do or dare. It's not anything. Life is just life. Life just is. It simply is. How we respond to life and its circumstances, that's how, what we get out of life. How we respond to life is how we relate in life. So, with the power of choice, we can change at any given moment. We can do things different. We can accept things, or we can not accept things. We can reject things, or we can receive things. It's all depend on how you relate to it, how you respond to it. So, like I was saying, I was using me as an example, my finances. When I find myself in a situation where my finances are shaken, let's just say it shakes my world, how I respond to that is how I'm going to relate to that. Either I sit there and, go down with the ship, or I get my mind, my thoughts, my emotions, and everything together, and I begin to fight for what I believe in. I start to make decisions. I have the power of choice. I can choose, other avenues. I can choose what I'm going to deal with, what I'm not going to deal with, where I'm going to go, where I'm not going to go. I can deal with to whatever level or whatever standard that I'm going to be in. So you have the power of choice. The only time you don't have power of choice is when you find yourself in bondage. And even then, you have a power of choice about how you respond to that bondage. There are people who are locked up physically in prison, but they are more free being locked up in a jail cell than they were out here in the world. Because freedom is a mindset. It's how you relate to everything. It's how you respond to everything. Like I said, you get a life sentence and you go into this jail cell, that you can still be free in your mind. It's how you respond to it. But if you have that woe is me, I'm the victim, life has just always been negative, you're blaming your parents, you're blaming all this, that, and the other, you're blaming the way you was raised, your social, economical status, got all this blame going on around you. That's how you're relating to life. Then that's how you're going to feel. You're going to be defensive. You're going to be offensive as well. You're going to, you're simply going to relate to your circumstances. You're going to focus on your circumstances. You're going to live within your means, as far as you're always going to be subjected to that mentality and whatever limitations, those limiting beliefs that mentality has. So until you realize that life happens for you, and you at any given moment can make a decision to choose whichever crossroad, to go whichever way, you got to remember that you are the author and the finisher of your life. But you got to remember also, you got to think of, believe in something that's greater than yourself. You got to tap into something that's greater than yourself. Be it the universe, be it God, be it Buddha, whoever. Because if you're not able to tap into something that's greater than you, all you have is you. And like I said before, this world is too big for you to just tap into just you. It's greater than you. It's bigger than you. You by yourself can't control the world. You can't rule the world. The only world you can rule is your own self. You are a world in itself. Your mindset, your mind frame. So if you find yourself in a mental bondage, you have to realize that you hold the key. Never find yourself in a prison where you hold the key. You are able to release yourself. You are able to unlock that door, unlock that bondage at any given time or any given moment that you're ready and willing and available to do it, that you understand it. You take power, the knowledge, that's power, and you apply it to your life. That's understanding. That's the wisdom that it takes to be able to unlock the mental bondages that you have in your life. So Like I said again, I have to keep saying it because some people just really don't get it. Life, you have to recognize that it happens for you. Anything that happens in life happens for you. It's to your greater good. All you have to do is make the decision. You have to make the right decision. Decisions are like rudders on a boat or a ship. They guide you and navigate you the direction that you want to go. So, if you make a decision in a circumstance that life presents to you and you find yourself in a negative outcome, you can always turn around and make another decision to get yourself out of that outcome. You don't have to sit there and wallow and play the victim and be defensive. Oh, somebody hurt you. Somebody came against you. Somebody betrayed you. So now you want to sit and wallow and live it in fear, you know, because this person hurt you. You're too afraid to make a decision, make a choice, to get up and do something different, to, shake that off and go do something else. Some of us are afraid to leave the ones that hurt us. Some of us are afraid that if we leave the person that hurt us, that, they going to come after us or something bad going to happen to us. We talking about narcissism. Some of us are in narcissistic relationships and we're afraid to leave because that individual is so overpowering and overwhelming. It's not healthy. Oftentimes it leads to domestic violence situations. I ain't going to tell you how many times, I haven't read the statistics, or how many times it ends in one or both parties end up dying. So it's not a good fit. You need to find a way, get a support system, in place to where you'll be able to get out of that situation. Nobody called anybody to be forced to be with anybody. But like I say, there are people in relationships in our life that we feel, some grew up with parents that was very, very controlling. And we have youth that are so afraid to leave home. Like I said, we got some that, is comfortable being home. They don't want to, leave home. But then we do have some that are so afraid to leave home because maybe their parents aren't working or their parents need their income. They need them to help do this, help do that. And they put this guilt trip on them to where they can't move and they can't be free. And I was in a situation like that to the point where I couldn't wait till this individual passed on. But then after it happened, I felt so hurt because I shouldn't have had to go through that. And sometimes you miss the individual, but you can't handle or deal with how the individual was treating you. Technically, you don't have to deal with how the individual is treating you because, like I said again, recognize that life happens for you. I didn't have to deal with how the individual was treating me. I had to understand that I had to deal with and make decisions about how I was going to relate to the individual. So, when you find yourself unable to relate to the individual in a healthy manner to where you can have freedom and they can do whatever they want to do, that problem is not on them, it's on you. Your freedom is governed by you, nobody else. Even in mental bondages or does somebody place you in bondage relationship wise, your freedom is on you. Unless you have committed a crime and you find yourself locked away for however, behind bars, whatever bars, federal, criminal, whatever, unless you find yourself locked away, you have the power of choice. And even in then, you have the power of choice in how to relate to a situation like that. Even in prison, as I said earlier, you can have the freedom because freedom is a mindset. It's how you think about things. It's how you relate to what is given to you, the life circumstances that's given to you. Like I said, life is not against you. It simply is. It just happens. How you relate. And you got to realize whatever thing you're relating to or whatever circumstance that came about in front of you was happened because of a decision that you made. So you had already made a decision to get to this place. Now you just need to recognize that you need to make a decision to get out of that place. Or if it's a place that you want to stay in, you need to recognize that you need to make a decision that keeps you in that place. But we're talking about fear. So you need to make decisions that would govern you to come up out of the state of fear that you're in, that is keeping your mind, just stagnant, in that place, catatonic, can't move, immobile. Your beliefs are limited. That's why I say limiting beliefs. You got to find a way to get out of that thinking process, that thinking pattern, and realize that it ain't life's fault. It's our fault for the decisions that we make and we get ourselves in. And it's our fault because we don't decide to make another decision that will get us out of that situation. So we got free will and we need to learn to use it. You can't use free will without making a choice, without making a decision in your life. You got to be able to, like I said, govern your decisions. Your whatever free will got you in that space is the same free will you're going to have to use to get you up out of that space. So sitting around blaming other people, and trying to control them, trying to say, oh, you did this and you got me in this and this, that, and the other, that's not going to help you. You got to be able to take control of your own life choices. That's by taking control of your own emotions, how you feel, taking control of your own mindset, taking control of your own decisions, and, make choices. You always have the opportunity to make choices. And make sure that your choices, that everything, all your circumstances begin founded on a foundation based on your choices. Sometimes we get in relationships with people and we just go with the flow of them. And we find ourselves in situations that we don't want to be in. But when we make our own choices, when our decisions are founded on our own choices, that's when we can be free. It's how we relate to it. If we're relating to life based on the choices and foundations of another that may not be conducive or may not have our best interests at heart, that's nobody's fault but our own. So, like I always talk about the ship, if we're in a ship and we're going to a destination that we don't want to go to, we have a choice. We can use a life raft, we can use a lifeboat, we can get on our cell phone, call a helicopter. There are choices even in that situation. We need to use our choice. Don't sit in fear thinking, oh, I'm just going to go with this person, ride along with their ideas and I'll figure out later or whatever. Because no, tomorrow ain't promised to you. Whatever you're riding out, you can't say that tomorrow is promised to you. Whatever decision or choice that you're going to make, you need to make it right then. You need to make it at that moment. Don't wait till the next day. Don't wait till down the way or years down the line. Don't wait till you get a certain age. You need to make those choices right then. If you already know you are in a situation that you don't want to be in for the rest of your life or any longer in your life, then you made to make those decisions to get out then. To get out right then at that moment, because you're not guaranteed tomorrow. The caskets don't have no age limit, no time frame. They come in all sizes, all lengths. You can come out the womb and not make it. Versus, be 100 years old and you lived a full life. Death has no requirement. It can take at any given age. So we're sitting in fear and we're allowing fear to govern our life. We're sitting in chronic fear, allowing anxiety to govern our life, thinking, well, when this happens or that happens, we're going to get out of this. No, you need to make decisions and choices right then and there. You need to take control of your life from that moment. When you make a decision and you make a choice, you take control at that moment. And you start a cycle to start cycling out of that situation. The moment you make a decision, the moment your mind frame changes a different trajectory, is when you make the decision. That's the power of choice. Now, whether it's too late in making that decision and you find yourself in bondage, I don't know. But I'm just saying, the moment that you know that you need to make a choice or make a decision, you need to make that choice. You need to make that decision. Because, like I said before, life circumstances is how life relates to you. How you respond to life circumstances, let me put it right. How you respond to life circumstances is how life relates to you. And if you do not do anything, that's a response. If you sit there and ride it out, that's a response. That's a response that says you accept any and everything that's taking place in your life. That you condone it. You stick your stamp on it. That you are, in with the ride. Not doing anything says that you are responding. You are accepting. So let's not accept things that we don't want to accept. Let's remember that we have the power of choice and that we can make decisions and we can choose to not be in the situations that we're in. We need to learn to visualize the world as a place of opportunity and possibility rather than a place of obstacles where we do not allow our mindset of fear to control us. When we look at life as possibilities and opportunities, it's an expansion. It widens our mindset. I can do this or I can be that or what. We don't sit in this little box where we're afraid to do or be anything. So that's the reason why it's so important. We got to figure out the source of our anxiety, and figuring out the source help eliminates the anxiety so we don't continue to live in it. Look at it, call it for what it is. And when we can acknowledge and recognize the source, then we know what we need to do or how we need to do it to eliminate and break the power of the hold it has on our mind. So, in order to have control, we must face the issues that we're in. Whatever the issue is, we got to face it. Don't just simply respond to it. We got to face it. And we got to know that fear don't allow us to face those things which we are afraid of. So when we find ourselves being afraid of something, we got to force ourselves to make a decision. We got to force ourselves how we're going to respond to this. Because if we don't respond and we sit there catatonic, afraid, immobile, can't move, can't do nothing, then we allow that chronic fear, that anxiety to consume us and take control of our body, take control of our mind, take control of our spirit, take control of our emotions. We have got to realize that we've got to assert power over our fears in order to regain control. If you're living in chronic fear, you don't have no control. You don't have no control from one day to the next. You just getting up, doing the bare minimums, the basic necessities, putting your clothes on, going to work, doing whatever. Like I said, my thing was finances. When my finances hit, my world is shaking because I know I'm the only source right here, right now, that's making any money to keep all of this going. And for me to get a hiccup in my finances, it's going to take some due diligence to try to put everything back together, make everything flow versus, if I can't make enough income, then I begin to start losing stuff. I have to, walk away from some things or whatever. So finances really, has my anxiety up, when I see that. But I say, I live in faith. I walk in faith. I know how to get control of my emotions. I know how to get control of my spirit, get control of my thoughts and my mind. And I tap in to something that's greater than me. I believe in God. It's no coincidence. It's no, it ain't no surprise to a lot of people. I'm a pastor as well. I believe in God. And He is the one that I tap into because I know He sees down the timeline. He sees what I'm going to run into. He can tell me lead my decisions, lead my circumstances, lead my choice, to sit and meditate, you know, with an entity that's greater than yourself, outside of yourself. Take some of the pressure and the tension off of you because you realize that you're not in this alone, that there is something greater, a higher power that governs the universe, that man didn't make the mountains with no shovel. Man didn't put the sky put the sky out there. There's something greater, a force to be reckoned with. There's a source, a force that out there that's greater than us. Now you can call him Jesus, you can call him Buddha, you can call him universe, whatever name you want to call him. But you need to make sure you call on him because he is greater. The source, the energy is greater than you, and you can't do it by yourself. So like I said, that's the second point, is recognizing that life happens for you. When you tap into the fact that life happens for you and you make decisions and choices that navigate, the circumstances, that life is happening for you, that is for your good and not for evil against you, that life is for your good. It really is. It's for your good. It's how we relate to it. If we relate to it negatively, then that's why we get the victimization and the defensiveness and throwing blame on everybody else because we don't want to be held accountable for what we did, because none of us is perfect. No human on the face of the earth is perfect. So, like I said, today we're going to end that because, like I said, it's 32 minutes. But we're going to end recognizing that life happens for you. Yeah. Y'all, be intentional.